Hello, young scholars. This is Mr. Martirone, and in today's flipped classroom, we're going to take a look at the genius of Leonardo da Vinci. Now, before we begin, it's important to note that Leonardo da Vinci was the embodiment of humanism. He was a painter, inventor, sculptor, scientist, engineer, and architect. He is most known for his two famous works, including the Mona Lisa and the Last Supper, but he's also known for his notebooks and his scientific curiosity. And we're going to take a look at all that in today's video. Leonardo da Vinci was born illegitimate to a prominent Tuscan family of potters and notaries. He traveled from the town of Vinci, where he was born, to Florence, where his father worked for several powerful families, including the Medici. And at the age of 17, Leonardo reportedly apprenticed with the Florentine artist Verrocchio and gained appreciation for his achievements. In 1483, Da Vinci produces his first great works, and this was called The Virgin of the Rocks. Normally, we've seen Mary and Christ as enthroned as a queen in heaven. And here in this painting, in contrast, we see Mary seated on the ground. Mary has her right arm around the infant St. John the Baptist, who's making a gesture of prayer towards the Christ child. And the Christ child, in turn, is blessing St. John. Mary's left hand hovers protectively over the head of her son, while the angel looks out and points to St. John. This painting, mostly unknown to us today, really put Leonardo da Vinci on the stage of reputable artists during the Renaissance. Da Vinci matures as an artist in the 1490s, right around the time when Columbus is getting ready to set sail for his expedition. Da Vinci paints The Last Supper, and it represents the last meal shared by Jesus and his disciples before his capture and death. And it shows the moment when Jesus says to his disciples, "One of you will betray me." Leonardo simultaneously depicts Christ blessing the bread and saying to the apostles, "Take this, eat it, it is my body," and the blessing of the wine, saying, "Drink from it, this is my blood." The painting was acclaimed as a masterpiece of design and characterization. But Da Vinci experiments with different types of paints, and it deteriorates quite rapidly. So within 100 years, it's described by one viewer as completely ruined. And over the next 100 years, there are several efforts to restore the painting back to its original luster, but it makes visible the painting's special and sacred history to humanity. By the early 1500s, Da Vinci paints his most famous work, the Mona Lisa. In the present era, it is arguably the most famous painting in the world. Its fame rests in particular on the elusive smile on the woman's face, and its mysterious quality, perhaps due to the subtle shadowing of the corners of the mouth and the eyes, and that the exact nature of the smile cannot really be determined. The Mona Lisa is most likely the portrait of the wife of a Florentine merchant. For some reason, however, the portrait was never delivered to its patron, and Leonardo kept it with him when he went to work for Francis I, the King of France. The Mona Lisa's mysterious smile has inspired many writers, singers, and painters. This portrait also demonstrates a shift in Leonardo's painting. Portraits during the early Renaissance usually depicted a person's profile, giving them a sense of mystery. And with the Mona Lisa, the woman is facing us, and we get a better sense of who she is as a person. Recently, art historians uncovered a copy of the Mona Lisa. The background had been painted over, but when the painting was cleaned, scientific analysis revealed that the copy was painted likely by another artist who sat beside Leonardo and copied his work brushstroke by brushstroke. The copy gives us an idea of what the Mona Lisa might have looked like if the layers of yellow varnish were removed. Leonardo was also a prolific draftsman, keeping journals and small sketches throughout his entire life. And in these journals, he kept ordinary things like to-do lists and calendars, but he also kept amazing detailed drawings and sketches of paintings before they were finalized. Among his most famous drawings included the Vitruvian Man, which was the study of the proportions of the human body. Also, within Leonardo's notebook, we see his approach to science and observation. Leonardo also began his study of anatomy and the human body, and as a successful artist, Leonardo was given permission to dissect human corpses. He collaborated his studies with various doctors. Leonardo made over 240 drawings and wrote about 1,300 words on human anatomy. And finally, during his lifetime, Leonardo was also a valued engineer. Leonardo studied the design of many machines and devices. Although he had no formal academic training, many historians and scholars regard Leonardo da Vinci as the prime example of a universal genius or a Renaissance man. He was an individual of unquenching curiosity and had a feverish and inventive imagination. He's widely considered the most diverse and talented individuals ever to have lived.